where she was attending the briefing. Heidi, very strong words right at the end there by the Finance Minister about Sanral's decision.
Exactly, Tony. So we heard from the Finance Minister Tito Mboweni, who initially had called the media to a briefing about this new SARS commissioner, but he was very strong in his words and literally gave South Africans a lashing and the Sanral board about their decision to not pursue e-tolls debt and defaulters, saying it's a very bad decision, it's a reckless decision, it's undermining what was said in the budget speech earlier this year, where he said that South Africans need to pay their e-tolls. And now you have the Sanral board basically saying that actually since 2015 to date, those who didn't pay the e-tolls don't have to pay the e-tolls because we're not pursuing that debt. He also said that it's a decision that needs to be reversed immediately, as this is going to affect the bond market, the fiscus, and given the financial environment and climate that South Africa is currently in, having Sanral reverse that decision is going to put immense pressure on the fiscus and the financial status of South Africa. So really giving a tongue lashing there and saying that that decision needs to be reversed immediately, as it was a very bad decision by the Sanral board.
Interestingly, he also likened it to the non-payment of tax, didn't he? He almost was speaking about the culture of South Africans not paying for things. That's really where he was heading to, wasn't it?
Exactly, Tony. I mean, you have a situation where you have SARS, who's basically the gem of, collecting money for the South African government, and you have a situation where it's been riddled with serious problems and corruption, and now you have a situation where there's been a distrust and a disconnect between the South Africans and the South African Revenue Service because of what's been going on there, and him basically saying that South Africans need to pay their tax and they need to abide by the law and ensure that everything is done according to the book. And now you have a situation where the Sanral board is saying don't pay your e-tolls, and him as the finance minister saying no, in actual fact that decision needs to be reversed. So strong words, him saying that it needs to be paid, South Africans need to abide by the law.
What was his response when quizzed about the SARS strike?
So his response was no response, because he said that he is not here to discuss the SARS strike, which was quite surprising given the fact that he has the acting SARS Commissioner, Mark Kingong, next to him, as well as the new Commissioner, Edward Kisveta, who is going to be in office as of 1st of May. And you have a strike with thousands of staff from the Revenue Service completely shutting down a number of SARS branches, but him basically saying that he's not here to answer to that and SARS will deal with that matter. But it links very much to how this is going to impact revenue collection, given the fact that so many SARS staff are out on the streets striking because they want a salary increase of 11%. But him giving no other indication or no word about how they're going to deal with this, or the impact thereof, and saying that we need to wait from SARS for any word on that.
Now, Howard come out and said that they are negotiating with an arrogant employer. And then the finance minister also challenged Nehao to come and speak directly to him. What's your take on that?
Exactly, Tony. So I think there's a lot of back and forth in terms of the unions on the ground dealing with a number of staff from the South African Revenue Service who are extremely unhappy about their performance appraisals in terms of their bonuses and their increases. And obviously the union is going to speak on behalf of their employers and or their members, and the minister saying that if anybody has anything to say, they can come and say that to us and we will deal with that. So he's really come out strong in what he has to say about how he's dealing with this and who needs to actually say something. But he really dismissed any kind of interaction or conversation with regards to the strike and Nahao.
All right, Edward Kisweta, the new commissioner. What do we know about him, and what were his comments about when he takes over? What are the first few things that he is going to institute?
So we do understand that Edward Kisveta is not a new blood to the South African Revenue Service. He was previously there in the early 2000s, up until I think 2008 or 9, as the Deputy SARS Commissioner, and he handled the large centre business unit at the Revenue Service as well. And he basically saying that he has two main focuses or main agendas that he's going in to tackle, and that is to deal and address internal issues with the staff, because we do understand that there has been a major disconnect in terms of the trust at the Revenue Service, as well as addressing issues with South Africans, because we do know from the recent Nugent Commission of Inquiry that took place last year, headed up by Judge Robert Nugent, that there were major issues at the Revenue Service, distrust, a real fearful environment amongst the staff there, which obviously spills over to South Africans in terms of collecting tax and ensuring that people abide by that and pay their taxes. So him saying that he's going to learn a lot from acting SARS Commissioner Mark Kingon, who's been in that position since last year March, and he wants to learn from him and get any guidance from him, but he is confident that he's going to gain the trust back from South Africans and from staff within the Revenue Service. He seems very positive, given the fact that he knows the ropes at the Revenue Service because he was there previously, but he's hitting the ground running, and he wants to sort the Revenue Service out.
ID Jokos, thank you so much. She's in Pretoria. She was at that briefing where the Finance Minister, Tito Mboweni, was introducing the new SARS Commissioner, Mr. Edward Kieswetter. The Finance Minister also says he's unhappy with Sanral's decision to suspend the process of pursuing e-toll debt. He says they must reverse that decision.